The stars glowed like distant jewels against the black canvas of space. Captain James watched them from the bridge of the scout ship Vigilant as it moved slowly through the outer rim territories. "Sensors picking up something odd, Captain," said Officer Tom, his eyes fixed on the screen in front of him. "Energy readings unlike anything I've seen before." James walked over and looked at the readings. They showed a strange pulse, weak but steady, coming from Sector 7. This area was supposed to be empty. "How far?" he asked. "About 3 hours at full speed," Tom replied. James thought for a moment. Their orders were clear: patrol the border, report any findings, and return to base. Investigating strange signals wasn't part of the mission, but something about this reading made him curious. "Set course for the signal," James ordered, "but keep weapons ready, just in case." "Sir, Command ordered us to." "I know what Command ordered," James cut in. "But if this is a distress signal or something dangerous, we need to check it out." The Vigilant changed direction and sped toward the mysterious energy source. James felt a mix of excitement and worry. The Galactic Coalition had mapped most of this region, yet this signal was completely unknown. 3 hours later, the ship slowed near the source of the signal. "Visual coming up now," said Tom. The main screen showed a large object floating in space. It was a ship, but unlike any James had ever seen. Its hull was dark gray with faded markings. It was huge, almost 3 times the size of the Vigilant, with strange bulges and angles that made no sense to the eye. "What is that?" asked Lisa, the communications officer. "It looks like a warship," James said slowly, "but not one I recognize." Tom ran the ship through the database. "No matches found, sir. According to our records, this ship doesn't exist." "That's impossible," James replied. "Every ship built in the last 300 years is in that database." "Well, this one isn't," Tom confirmed. James ordered a closer scan. The results showed the ship was powered down but not damaged. It had no life signs on board. The hull markings were in an old Earth language. "I can make out a name," Lisa said, looking at the enhanced images. "Defiance." "Defiance?" James repeated. "Check the military records for any ship with that name." Lisa searched quickly. "Nothing, sir. According to our files, no military vessel called Defiance was ever built." James made a decision. "Prepare a boarding team. We need to see what's inside." An hour later, James led a small team across the space between the 2 ships. Engineer Marcus and Security Officer Ben followed closely behind. Their magnetic boots clanked against the hull of the mysterious vessel. "The airlock seems operational," Marcus said, examining the entry point. "I think I can get it open." After some work, the ancient door slid open with a hiss of pressure. The team turned on their lights and stepped inside. The air was stale but breathable. "Power levels are minimal," Marcus noted, "just enough to maintain basic systems and life support." They moved through dark corridors lined with technology that looked both old and strangely advanced. The ship's design made no sense. Some parts looked like they were from 200 years ago, while others seemed beyond current technology. "This layout doesn't match any standard military design," Ben observed. They reached what appeared to be the bridge. Marcus found a control panel that still had power and managed to turn on some lights. The room lit up dimly, revealing rows of stations and a large commander's chair in the center. "Let's see if we can access the ship's logs," James said. Marcus worked on the main console while the others explored the bridge. After several minutes, the screens flickered to life, showing data in an old format. "I got something," Marcus called. According to these logs, this ship was built in a secret facility on Earth over 200 years ago, during the Dark Decade. The Dark Decade was a time of chaos when many records were lost during the Great Data Crash. It was a period shrouded in mystery. "The logs say the Defiance was part of a special project," Marcus continued, reading the screen. "It was designed to counter an alien threat that intelligence predicted would attack Earth. But the threat never came. So they built this ship and then what? Just abandoned it out here? Lisa asked over the comm link from the Vigilant. Not exactly, Marcus replied. According to this, the Defiance was hidden away as a contingency plan. A last resort weapon if humanity ever faced extinction. James looked around the bridge with new understanding. This isn't just a warship. It's a lifeboat and a weapon combined. Captain, Tom's urgent voice came through the comm. We're picking up multiple ships entering the sector. A lot of them. Can you identify? James asked. Not yet, but they're moving in formation. Definitely military. James turned to his team. We need to get back to the Vigilant. Before they could move, Marcus called out, Wait, there's more in the logs. This ship has technology that was experimental even for its time. Weapons and defense systems unlike anything we have today. We don't have time for this, James said. We need tow. An alarm blared through their comms. Lisa's voice cut in. Captain, they're Krell vessels. A full battle group headed straight for us. Everyone froze. The Krell were an aggressive species that had fought humans before. The current peace was fragile at best. They're hailing us, Lisa added. Tell them we're on a routine patrol and discovered an abandoned vessel, James ordered. We'll return to our territory immediately. As the team hurried back through the corridors toward the airlock, a new alarm sounded from within the Defiance itself. The lights around them suddenly brightened. Panels lit up along the walls. The ship was waking up. What did you do? James asked Marcus. Nothing, the engineer replied. It must be responding to the Krell presence. James's comm crackled again with Lisa's voice, now tense with fear. Captain, the Krell are demanding we surrender what they're calling the illegal human warship immediately. Their weapons are powering up. As they reached the airlock, a smooth artificial voice spoke from all around them. External threat detected. Defense protocols initializing. Welcome aboard the UES Defiance, humanity's guardian. I am Atlas, the ship's artificial intelligence. Please identify yourselves. The dead ship wasn't dead anymore, and a fleet of Krell warships was coming straight toward them. I repeat, I am Atlas, the artificial intelligence of the UES Defiance, the calm voice said again. Please identify yourselves. Captain James looked at Marcus and Ben. Their faces showed the same shock he felt. I am Captain James of the Galactic Coalition scout ship Vigilant, he finally replied. We found your ship abandoned and came to investigate. Understood, Captain, Atlas responded. My systems indicate your vessel is under threat. The approaching ships match Krell attack patterns in my database. James's comm unit buzzed. Captain, Lisa's voice was urgent. The Krell commander is demanding to speak with you directly. He seems very angry about this ship. James turned to Marcus. What's happening with this Why did it activate now? Marcus studied a nearby console. From what I can tell, it was in standby mode. The ship has passive sensors that must have detected the Krell ships and triggered its defense protocols. Captain, we need to return to the Vigilant, Ben urged. Agreed. Atlas, we're leaving now. Please deactivate your systems. I cannot comply, Captain, Atlas replied. My core programming requires me to remain operational when a threat is detected. The Krell fleet represents a Class 1 threat to human personnel. Before James could argue, Lisa's voice came through again. Captain, the Krell are getting impatient. Their weapons are fully charged. Patch them through, James ordered. The voice that came next was deep and harsh. This is Admiral Vox of the Krell Defense Force. You have illegally salvaged a restricted weapon. Surrender the vessel immediately or face destruction. James was confused. Admiral, we only discovered this ship hours ago. We have no claim on it. Do not play games, human, Vox growled. Our records show this vessel destroyed an entire Krell battle group 60 years ago before disappearing. We have searched for it ever since. James looked around the bridge of the Defiance with new understanding. This ship had fought before. Admiral, we had no knowledge of this ship's history. I suggest we both withdraw and let our governments discuss this matter. Unacceptable, came the reply. That vessel must be destroyed. It is too dangerous to exist. The communication cut off abruptly. Marcus's tablet beeped with an alert. They're targeting the Vigilant, he shouted. Through the viewport, James watched in horror as bright beams of energy shot from the lead Krell ship toward their small scout vessel. The Vigilant tried to evade, but it was too slow. The beams struck it directly. No, James yelled as the Vigilant broke apart in a flash of light and debris. Life pod signals detected, Atlas announced. 4 pods successfully launched from your vessel. James felt relief wash over him. The crew had escaped. Can you retrieve those pods? He asked Atlas. Affirmative. Activating retrieval systems. The deck beneath them hummed as the Defiance came fully to life. Lights brightened throughout the ship. On a nearby screen, James watched as mechanical arms extended from the hull, carefully collecting the small escape pods. Pods secured, Atlas reported. Crew members are unharmed and being brought to the main hangar bay. Marcus was studying the ship's systems with growing amazement. Captain, you need to see this. The ship's defenses are unlike anything I've ever seen, and they're all coming online. The screens around them showed the Defiance transforming. Panels shifted on the outer hull, revealing weapon ports and defense systems. The ship's energy readings climbed rapidly. Alert, Atlas announced. Krell vessels are surrounding us. They are preparing a coordinated attack. Can this ship defend itself? James asked. The Defiance was designed to face threats far beyond current Krell capabilities, Atlas replied. However, after 2 centuries of dormancy, I can only guarantee 47% operational capacity. That doesn't sound promising, Ben muttered. The ship shuddered as the first Krell shots hit its shields. Shield integrity at 98%, Atlas reported calmly. Minimal impact. James and his team made their way to the hangar bay where they found Lisa and the remaining crew from the Vigilant. They looked scared but unhurt. What's happening? Lisa asked as they entered. This ship is like nothing I've ever seen. It's an ancient defense vessel, James explained quickly, and the Krell are terrified of it. Another impact rocked the ship. We need to get to the bridge, James decided. If we're going to survive this, we need to understand what this ship can do. As they hurried through the corridors, the Defiance continued to transform around them. Walls shifted, creating new pathways. Systems that had been dormant for centuries hummed to life. When they reached the bridge, they found it completely changed. The dim, dusty room they had explored earlier was now bright and active. Holographic displays showed the positions of the Krell ships surrounding them. Welcome back, Captain, Atlas greeted them. I have completed my initial system checks. The Krell fleet consists of 1 command ship, 6 battle cruisers, and 24 support vessels. That's an entire war fleet, Lisa whispered. Why are they so afraid of this one ship? James wondered aloud. I can answer that, Atlas replied. 63 years ago, the Defiance was discovered by a Krell exploration team who attempted to capture it. The ship's automated defenses activated and destroyed their forces before returning to dormancy. So the legend of a human ghost ship that destroyed a Krell fleet was real, Marcus said. And now they want to make sure it never happens again, James added. The largest Krell ship moved closer, its weapons glowing with power. They're preparing to fire their main cannon, Atlas announced. Recommended action. Activate countermeasures. What countermeasures? James asked. The Defiance possesses dimensional phase shifting technology. We can temporarily move the ship partially out of normal space, allowing enemy fire to pass through harmlessly. James looked at his frightened crew, then at the approaching Krell fleet. They had no choice. Do it, he ordered. Initiating phase shift, Atlas replied. The bridge view shimmered slightly as the Krell fired their main weapon. The beam of energy, powerful enough to destroy a small moon, shot directly toward them and passed right through the ship. Phase shift successful, Atlas reported. No damage sustained. On the screens, they could see the confusion on the Krell ships as their most powerful weapon had no effect. "Captain," Atlas said, "I should inform you that the Defiance was designed not just to defend, but to fight. Weapons systems are online and awaiting your command." James looked at the holographic display, showing 31 Krell warships surrounding one ancient human vessel that shouldn't exist. "Show me what this ship can do," he said quietly. The bridge of the Defiance hummed with energy as screens displayed the surrounding Krell fleet. The alien vessels circled cautiously after witnessing their main weapon pass harmlessly through the ship. "They're confused," Lisa said, watching the movement of the enemy ships. "They don't know what to do next." At last, James asked, "What weapons does this ship have?" "The Defiance is equipped with multiple defense and attack systems," the AI responded. "Primary weapons include gravity pulse cannons, particle beam arrays, and the Horizon Array." "I don't recognize any of those weapon types," Marcus said, his eyes wide. "They were experimental when this ship was built," Atlas explained. "The technology was never shared widely due to its destructive potential." A warning flashed across the main screen. The Krell ships were moving into attack formation. "They're going to try a coordinated attack," Ben observed. "Hit us from all sides at once." "Atlas, can we maintain the phase shift to protect ourselves?" James asked. "Negative, Captain. The phase shift can only be maintained for short periods. It requires significant power and creates stress on the hull structure." James thought quickly. "Then we need to show them we can fight back. Target the nearest ship with the least destructive weapon we have. I want to disable, not destroy." "Understood. Targeting gravity pulse cannon at minimum power." On the screen, they watched as a strange ripple emerged from the Defiance and shot toward one of the smaller Krell ships. When it hit, the alien vessel didn't explode. Instead, it began to tumble slowly, as if caught in an invisible current. "What happened to it?" Lisa asked. "The gravity pulse temporarily disrupted their artificial gravity and stabilization systems," Atlas explained. "The ship is intact but unable to maintain position or targeting." "Send a message to the Krell commander," James ordered. "Tell him we don't want to fight but will defend ourselves if attacked." While Lisa worked on the communication, Marcus explored more of the ship's database. "Captain, I found something interesting," he called. "According to these files, the Defiance was built by someone named Thomas Reed. He was a brilliant engineer who worked during the Dark Decade." "What else does it say about him?" James asked, joining Marcus at the console. "Reed believed humanity would face extinction-level threats from other species. He designed this ship to evolve its own technology over time. The Defiance isn't just a warship, it's a learning system. That explains why the Krell are so afraid of it," James said, "if it can adapt and improve itself." "They're responding to our message," Lisa interrupted. Admiral Vox's harsh voice filled the bridge. "Your demonstration is noted, human, but it changes nothing. That vessel has technology forbidden by the Galactic Treaty. It must be surrendered or destroyed." "The Defiance predates any treaty," James replied. "And we only activated its defensive capabilities after you destroyed our scout ship." "You leave us no choice," Vox growled. "Prepare to be annihilated." The communication ended. On the screens, the Krell ships began to move in perfect formation. "Captain," Atlas announced, "I have detected communication to other Krell forces. They are calling for reinforcements." James turned to his crew. "We need to know more about this ship's capabilities if we're going to survive." "I can help with that," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a holographic figure standing in the center of the bridge. It was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Thomas Reed," Marcus whispered. The hologram nodded. "A recording of him, at least. I am a memory program designed to activate when the ship faces its first real battle. I see that time has come. We need to know why the Krell fear this ship so much, James said to the hologram. The Defiance was built with one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival, Reed's image explained. I designed it with systems that could adapt to any threat. The ship learns from each attack and improves its defenses. But why do the Krell know about it? Lizette asked. 60 years ago, a prototype of this vessel was discovered by Krell forces, Reed's hologram explained. They attempted to capture it, but the automated defenses responded. The prototype destroyed their attack force before disappearing again. That matches what Atlas told us, James said. The Krell believe humans have been secretly building more ships like this. Reed continued. They fear an armada of vessels with this technology would make humans the dominant species in the galaxy. Are there more ships like this? Ben asked. The hologram smiled mysteriously. That information is classified, even from this recording. A warning alarm blared through the ship. The Krell are attacking, Atlas announced. Multiple energy signatures detected from all vessels. Can we use the phase shift again? James asked urgently. Not yet, Atlas replied. Systems are still recharging. Then what options do we have? The adaptive armor can absorb some of the energy, Reed's hologram suggested. Atlas, activate the absorption grid. Activating now. The ship shuddered as dozens of energy beams struck it simultaneously. The lights flickered, but the shields held. Shield integrity at 72%. Atlas reported. Damage minimal. Adaptive systems are analyzing attack patterns. What does that mean? Lisa asked. The ship is learning, Reed's hologram explained. Each time it's attacked, it adjusts its defenses to be more effective against that specific weapon. On the screens, they could see the Krell preparing for another volley. We can't just keep taking hits, James said. We need to show them we're serious. The particle beam array is now charged, Atlas announced. Target their lead ship's weapon systems, only, James ordered. Disable, don't destroy. A bright blue beam shot from the Defiance and struck the largest Krell vessel precisely where its main cannon was mounted. The weapon exploded in a shower of sparks. Direct hit, Atlas confirmed. Their primary weapon is offline. The Krell ships adjusted their formation, spreading out to surround the Defiance more completely. They're calling in the reinforcements, Lisa reported, listening to intercepted communications. At least 20 more ships on the way. We can't fight an entire Krell armada, Ben said. Reed's hologram looked at James with serious eyes. Captain, this ship has one more system that might help. The Horizon Array. Atlas mentioned that before. What is it? It's the most powerful weapon ever created by humans, Reed explained. It manipulates space-time itself, creating a temporary distortion that can disable multiple ships at once. That sounds dangerous, James said. It is, Reed admitted, but it might be our only option against these numbers. Before James could respond, a new wave of attacks hit the ship. This time, the impact was stronger. Shield integrity at 45%. Atlas reported. The Krell have adjusted their weapons to counter our defenses. They're learning too, Marcus realized. James looked at the screens showing more Krell ships arriving by the minute. They were running out of time and options. How long until the Horizon Array is ready? He asked quietly. It can be prepared in 3 minutes, Atlas replied. Do it, James ordered, but target it carefully. I want to disable their ships, not destroy them. As Atlas began the activation sequence, Reed's hologram regarded James with approval. You understand the purpose of the Defiance, he said, not to conquer, but to protect. I understand that having power doesn't mean you should use it to destroy, James replied, even when faced with an enemy that would destroy you. The ship hummed with building energy as the Horizon Array prepared to fire. The bridge of the Defiance vibrated as energy built up throughout the ship. On the screens, the Krell fleet had grown to over 50 vessels, all positioned to attack. Horizon array at 70% charge. Atlas announced. 2 minutes until ready. They're moving into final attack position, Ben warned, watching the enemy ships. James made a decision. Atlas, open a channel to Admiral Vox. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Vox, this is Captain James. I'm asking you one last time to stand down. We have activated a weapon system that could disable your entire fleet. We don't want to use it. There was a long pause before the Admiral responded. You bluff, human, Vox growled. No single ship has such capability. The Defiance is not an ordinary ship, James replied. You know that, or you wouldn't have brought an entire armada to destroy it. Another pause. Then, you have 1 minute to surrender the vessel. The communication ended. They're not going to back down, Lisa said quietly. Then we need to show them we're serious, James decided. Atlas, when the Horizon array is ready, target the empty space between the Krell ships. I want to show them what it can do without harming anyone. Understood, Captain. Marcus had been studying the ship's systems on a Psi console. He looked up with concern. Captain, I found something interesting about the ship's power core. It's using a controlled singularity, basically a contained black hole, as its power source. A black hole? Ben asked in disbelief. Inside the ship. It's tiny and completely contained, Marcus explained. But it explains how the ship can generate so much power for its weapons and defenses. Is it stable? James asked. According to these readings, yes, but using the Horizon array will draw heavily from it. The ship shook violently as a new wave of Krell attacks hit the shields. Shield integrity at 31%, Atlas reported. Critical failure possible if attacks continue. Horizon array at 95% charge, Reed's hologram announced. Almost ready. James looked at the tactical display. The Krell ships had formed a perfect circle around them, preparing for what they hoped would be the final blow. As soon as the array is ready, fire at the coordinates I specified, James ordered. Understood, Atlas replied. Horizon array fully charged. Targeting empty space at the center of the Krell formation. Fire. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, in the space between the Krell ships, a strange distortion appeared. It looked like a ripple in water, but in space itself. The ripple grew quickly, expanding outward. When it reached the first line of Krell ships, they didn't explode or break apart. Instead, their lights flickered and went dark. Ship after ship lost power as the distortion wave passed through them. What's happening to them? Lisa asked. The Horizon array creates a temporary disruption in space-time, Reed's hologram explained. It affects electrical systems and power generation, but doesn't harm organic life. On the screens, they could see over 20 Krell ships now floating powerless in space. Open a channel to Admiral Vox again, James ordered. His ship was affected by the array. Atlas reported. They have limited communications only. Can they hear me? Yes, Captain. Admiral Vox, as you can see, we disabled nearly half your fleet without destroying a single ship. We don't want this fight. Stand down now, and we can talk. The response was immediate and angry. This proves you are too dangerous to exist. All remaining ships, attack with everything you have. The remaining Krell vessels, including Vox's command ship, which had partially recovered, fired all their weapons simultaneously. Brace for impact, James shouted. The Defiance shook violently as multiple energy beams struck it from all directions. Panels exploded on the bridge, and the crew was thrown to the floor. Shield failure, Atlas reported, the AI's voice now showing signs of strain. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Emergency containment activated. Casualties? James asked, picking himself up from the floor. None reported. All areas were automated or unoccupied. James looked at the damage reports. The ship had taken a serious hit, but it was still functional. Atlas, what offensive capabilities do we still have? The Horizon Array requires 1 hour to recharge. Gravity pulse cannons are offline. Particle beam arrays at 50% capacity. And what about our defenses? The adaptive armor is learning from the attack patterns. Effectiveness will increase by approximately 28% against similar attacks. Reed's hologram flickered unstably. Captain, there's something else you should know. The Defiance has one more system, the Aegis Protocol. What does it do? James asked. It links the ship's adaptive systems directly to the attack patterns of the enemy. Every shot they fire actually makes the ship stronger against that specific weapon. Can we activate it? It's already happening, Reed said with a small smile. It's been happening since the first attack. The Defiance was designed to become more powerful the longer it fights. On the screens, they could see the Krell preparing for another attack. They're changing their weapon frequencies, Atlas reported, attempting to find a weakness in our defenses. Let them try, Marcus said with growing confidence. If what Reed says is true, each attack just makes us stronger. The next wave hit, but this time the impact was noticeably less severe. Shield integrity holding at 25%, Atlas announced. Adaptive systems functioning correctly. James watched as the Krell ships adjusted position again. They were becoming desperate. Captain, Lisa called out. I'm intercepting communications between Admiral Vox and the Krell High Command. They're ordering him to destroy us at any cost. They're afraid of what this ship represents. They should be, Ben said. One ship taking on an entire fleet and winning. That's impossible. Not impossible, Reed's hologram corrected. Just unlikely. And the Defiance was built for the unlikely scenario. Another attack came. And again, the ship withstood it better than the last. Particle beam arrays recharge, Atlas reported. Awaiting your orders, Captain. James studied the tactical display. The remaining Krell ships were clustered around Vox's command vessel. Target their engines, he ordered. Let's stop them from maneuvering, but leave their life support intact. The Defiance fired precise beams that struck each Krell ship exactly where their engines were located. One by one, they lost the ability to move, floating helplessly in space. All enemy vessels immobilized, Atlas confirmed. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. They had done the impossible. One ship had effectively defeated an entire fleet. Open a channel to Admiral Vox, James said quietly. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, his alien features twisted with rage. You see now why your people feared this ship, James told him. But also why your fear was misplaced. We could have destroyed your entire fleet, but we chose not to. You will not be so merciful next time, Vox snarled. There doesn't have to be a next time, James replied. This ends here, with both sides still alive. As James ended the communication, Reed's hologram looked at him with approval. You used the ship exactly as I intended, he said. Not as a weapon of destruction, but as a shield for peace. What do we do now? Lisa asked. The Krell will never let us keep this ship. James looked around at his crew, then at the screen showing the disabled Krell fleet. I have an idea, he said, but it's going to be risky. Captain James looked at his crew gathered on the bridge of the Defiance. They had just achieved the impossible, defeating an entire Krell fleet without destroying a single ship. But James knew this was only the beginning. The Krell will send more ships, he said. And next time, they won't hold back. So what's your plan? Lisa asked. James turned to the hologram of Thomas Reed. You mentioned the ship has other capabilities we haven't used yet. What about movement? Can it travel faster than our standard ships? Reed smiled. The Defiance has a dimensional jump drive. It doesn't just move through space. It can temporarily shift between dimensions, appearing anywhere in the galaxy almost instantly. So we can escape? Ben asked hopefully. We could, James replied. But that wouldn't solve the problem. The Krell would keep hunting this ship forever. Marcus, who had been studying the ship's data systems, looked up suddenly. "Captain, I think I found something interesting. I've been analyzing the Krell communications Lisa intercepted." "What did you find?" James asked. "Their messages contain references to something called the human ascendancy. It seems their real fear isn't just this ship. It's the belief that humans are destined to become the dominant species in the galaxy. That's why they want to destroy the Defiant so badly," Lisa realized. "They see it as proof of superior human technology." James thought for a moment. "Then we need to change their perspective. Atlas, is the jump drive operational?" "Yes, Captain. The dimensional jump system is at full capacity." "How precise can it be?" "The Defiants can emerge at exact coordinates with 99.8% accuracy." James smiled. "Perfect. I want you to calculate a jump that will place us directly in the middle of the Krell command ships, within visual range, but not close enough to threaten them." "That's incredibly risky," Ben warned. "We'd be surrounded." "That's exactly the point," James replied. "Atlas, how long until Krell reinforcements arrive?" "Based on intercepted communications, approximately 20 minutes. Then we have 20 minutes to prepare. Marcus, I need you to compile all the data we have on the Krell communications. Lisa, prepare a message to be sent to all Krell ships simultaneously." As the crew worked frantically, Reed's hologram approached James. "You're taking a considerable risk, Captain," he said. "Sometimes the only way to end a fight is to face your enemy directly," James replied. "This ship was built to protect humanity. I think the best protection now is understanding." 15 minutes later, everything was ready. The crew gathered on the bridge, tension filling the air. "Jump drive charged and ready," Atlas announced. "Coordinates locked on Krell Command Group." "Everyone ready?" James asked, looking at his crew. They nodded nervously. "Execute jump." The view on the screens blurred, and for a brief moment, everyone felt a strange sensation, as if they existed in multiple places at once. Then reality snapped back into focus. The Defiants had appeared in the middle of a group of 7 large Krell vessels, the command ships of their fleet. Alarms immediately sounded as the Krell detected their presence. "We're being targeted by all ships," Atlas reported. "They are charging weapons." "Open all channels," James ordered. "I want every Krell officer to hear this." Lisa activated the communication system. "Channel open, Captain." James took a deep breath. "This is Captain James of the human vessel Defiance. I'm speaking to all Krell ships in your high command. We could have escaped. Instead, we've come directly to you with our weapons powered down." On the screens, they could see Krell ships moving into attack positions. "We've analyzed your communications," James continued. "We understand your real fear, that humans will become the dominant species in the galaxy. That's why you want to destroy this ship so badly." Admiral Vox's voice came through the speakers. "Your actions prove our concerns. One vessel defeating an entire fleet is unprecedented, and yet we disabled your ships without destroying them." James countered. "We had the power to annihilate your fleet but chose not to. That's the part you're missing." James nodded to Marcus, who sent the compiled data to the Krell ships. "We're sending you all our data on this vessel. The Defiance was built centuries ago as a last resort against extinction. It was never meant to conquer or dominate." There was silence from the Krell ships. James continued. "I propose a new solution. This ship doesn't belong to us or to you. It's a relic of history. Let it be studied by both our species. Let its technology be used for peaceful purposes under joint oversight." "Impossible," Vox replied. "Such technology cannot be shared." "It's already being shared," James said calmly. "Right now, as we speak." On the screens, a new group of ships appeared. The Krell reinforcements had arrived. There were dozens of them, surrounding the Defiance completely. "This is your final warning," Vox threatened. "Surrender the vessel or be destroyed." Before James could respond, a new voice joined the communication. older and more authoritative. Admiral Vox, stand down immediately. High Commander. Vox sounded shocked. This human vessel has shown both tremendous power and tremendous restraint, the High Commander interrupted. Our sensors confirm their weapons are inactive despite being surrounded by our fleet. Their actions merit consideration. The bridge crew exchanged hopeful glances. Captain James, the High Commander, addressed him directly. Your proposal is unexpected. Joint study of such a vessel would be unprecedented. Sometimes unprecedented actions lead to unprecedented peace, James replied. There was a long pause before the High Commander spoke again. We will consider your proposal. Until then, no hostile action will be taken against your vessel. As the communication ended, the crew let out a collective breath of relief. Did that really just work? Ben asked in disbelief. Not completely, James cautioned. But it's a start. Reed's hologram looked at James with approval. You found a third option, neither running nor fighting, but understanding. The Defiance was built to save humanity, James said. Today, maybe it saved us from ourselves by showing there's always another way. As the tension on the bridge eased, Atlas made an announcement. Captain, I have detected a signal activation in the ship's deep communication system. What does that mean? James asked. Reed's hologram smiled mysteriously. It means the Defiance is not alone. There are others like it throughout the galaxy, waiting and watching. And now they know that humans have chosen wisdom over power. Are there really more ships like this? Lisa asked. That information remains classified, Reed replied. But I will say this. The Defiance was never meant to be humanity's sword. It was meant to be our shield until we learned we didn't need either. James looked out at the Krull ships now holding position around them. What had begun as a battle had transformed into the first step toward a new understanding between species. So what happens now? Ben asked. Now, James said with a small smile, we start talking instead of fighting. And that's always been the hardest part. The Defiance floated peacefully among the Krull ships, no longer a mysterious threat, but a bridge between two civilizations that had nearly destroyed each other out of fear. The warship that shouldn't exist had done the impossible twice, first by defeating a fleet, and then by creating peace.